Happy New Year. We had January off. This is our first one back. I'm calling it Fresh Start February. All right, so our topic today is the truth about living to be 100. And how many of you were here 5 years ago? I know you two were. 5 years ago, we did this same topic, living to be 100. It was my first experience in doing seminars, and when people would call into RSVP, they would ask, what's the topic? And I'd say, living to be 100. And they would laugh, kind of a nervous laugh, like, oh no. How many of you have a reaction like that when you think about living to be 100 years old or older? Okay. I saw one hand. So that's good. Maybe we're making progress. So we're going to revisit this topic as part of our 5th year celebration. We're going to cover a few of our basics that we've touched on before. And we're going to talk about some of what we've learned in the 5 years. And we call this a candid conversation, where we talk about things that maybe we don't want to hear or talk about, but they're things that we need to talk about. And we just really appreciate all of you being here for that conversation, and we hope you'll participate. Every single month, someone will come up to me at the end and say, you know what I was thinking? Or I was wondering, and then they'll tell me the most brilliant thing, and I think, oh, I wish you would have shared that on the mic, because it helps everybody else in the room. So if you have questions, if you have an aha, please share it, because that helps. This is a community. We are going to start off like we do each time with the Pledge of Allegiance. This thing was working. Brenda, can you put up the flags? And so if everyone that's able to would please stand, and veterans that would like to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please come up front. All right, do we have some veterans that would like to lead us? Oh, thank goodness. Don, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, Don, it looks like it's your show. All right. Oh, now we got some more veterans coming up. Thank you for your service. It never ends. Could be hurt. All right, let's go. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. I had the pleasure of going to American Legion Post number 4 for a birthday celebration for a female veteran that turned 102. Woohoo! So she turned 100 during that whole COVID lockdown, so they just had a real tiny, intimate family party. So this was her big to-do. And we're going to run a television episode on Channel 8 about it. And you'll see me ask her, how did you enjoy your birthday party? Because I thought it was pretty spectacular. And she said, which one? Because she's been honored all over the city by organizations that support veterans. And at 102, she gets around great. She's walking and active. She likes to go estate sale shopping with her daughter. And she's got plenty of stories to tell. She's really an inspiration. I thought it might be fun sometimes to invite several people that are 100 or older, several centenarians here, to be honored and see what kind of wisdom we can collect. Yes, I can't get the button. Okay. So I'm Kathleen Ambrose. is hiding in the back. He's in the manly Carhartt jacket back there. And so we are a family of longtime realtors. We started these seminars as a way to educate people that might eventually move or need help with aging in place ideas. It's turned into a whole nother thing. So we became a nonprofit thanks to Dee Haskins back there running the live stream. And hello everyone watching the live stream or watching us later in the future. We became a nonprofit. We're a federal 501c3 charitable organization. And boy, did we just have our first call to action, as it were, when KMH announced their closing. Can you click that, Greta? Oh, what we do. I'm going to say that first. All right, what we do. Empowered Senior, the next slide. We do in-home consults. So we come out for free and talk to you at your house about anything that you're wondering about. We can really help take a lot of pressure off just having that conversation. And that's part of what our 501c3 does, is provide those in-house consults. You can call the main number to have me out. We help people with 55 plus housing, we help people with downsizing, we help people organize and accomplish their moves, we do the education, and PBS television. Our main focus is mature homeowners, real estate and senior living options. And then we have all the experts that cover everything else around the room as education partners. So the people in this room here can help you with anything that you might be looking for. And they have the same values that we do. They commit a lot of time, money, and energy to put this program on. We couldn't do it without them. So thank you to our education partners. If we could give them some applause, that would be fantastic. Okay, next slide. We're going to see the sponsors here. We've got Bluestem, American Senior Benefits, Oxford Senior Living, Mariner Wealth Advisors, Sedgwick Plaza, Providence, Home Health and Hospice, Catholic Adult Day Services. What an amazing facility that they have. They took an old sheriff's training center and turned it into this beautiful adult day center. Morris Lang Law Firm, Fleece and Gooing Law Firm, and Humana. All right, if you could click through the next two. These are the seminar sponsors. Their money specifically supports this seminar. And next, and these are the companies that support our television show. You'll see Bluestem out of Newton and Heston, and they have an adult day center in Hutchinson. They support both. All right, next slide. So our stamp game, we just started that. So this was the first prize. I forgot to bring it in December, so you didn't get to see it, so I took a photo. It was super cool. There's a really neat store in Old Town that sells olive oil. All different kinds of olive oil. And just lots of other neat things, and they put this nice basket together. And the winner, is the winner here today? No? She came to my house to pick it up, so that was pretty cool. All right, next slide. And the prizes that we have today, we have 3 to choose from, and they're on the Empowered Senior table back there by Randy and Brian. Can you wave? So we'll collect your game cards in a little while. All right, so this was our first, it wasn't crisis, so I'm just going to say this was an absolute crisis. Who saw this on the news? We were on every single television channel. This was unbelievable. Right before Thanksgiving, everyone that lived in KMH, the Kansas Masonic Home, formerly known as Kansas Masonic Home, was told that they had to find a new place to live and move by the end of December. What do you think about that? Some people have lived there 17 years. I think pretty much everybody that lived there was planning to live there forever. Okay? So they were really surprised. We had heard a couple rumors, and I said, no, don't listen to that. So boy, was I surprised when Fred had popped in on them and found out that yes, indeed, they were closing. So I think we were among the first to find out. So we sprung into action. This was the team that worked on this Empowered Senior mission. We were the only company or organization that was allowed in the building. because they didn't want a lot of chaos, and they didn't want people just, in there trying to sell people stuff. So we were in there as a nonprofit to help PMH serve everyone in there, make sure everyone found a place to move, got moved, and got settled before their license ended December 31st. When I first heard about this, I thought, oh my gosh, this is terrible. It is terrible. But I thought, how could they do this to people? Well, what I found out as we got into it was they have done everything they possibly could. Today, I know that what happened there is unheard of anywhere in the entire country. I've had people from all over the country call and say, is it true that that place closed down? Because these are people that sold bonds or purchased bonds and had invested in this. And they just can't believe it because this never happens. Yes, senior living communities will go out of business, they'll sell to somebody else. The residents maybe might not even be very aware of that. Or we've had instances here in Wichita, like Presbyterian Manor closed an older area that wasn't popular, so they just closed that to focus on the rest. Maybe someday we'll do something with that older building. We had Georgetown opt to take all the assisted living options out and only offer independent living. So we've had things like that, which is always kind of disruptive and a crisis to people, but to have a whole entire campus closed down, absolutely unheard of. So it was very interesting for us. We knew it was going to be a tremendous learning experience. At first I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way our market can absorb 60 people. I thought maybe it would be more than 60, but it's only 60 people.
So are they going to renovate it or do something with it?
Well, there's a lot of people that want to buy it, that I don't know how that's going to work out, because
I retired there as a baker.
Did you?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful building. And they were one of our education partners. That's another reason why we had that relationship and wanted to leap in. So we had a tremendous team, and it was really chaotic at first, trying to figure out who has family, who doesn't have family, who has funds, who doesn't have funds, and just to figure out everything that was going on. It took a while to just sort through it. Some adult children or seniors panicked, as you would, and they went out and found the first place they could practically, signed a lease, and were moving out. We think that a lot of people that made those early moves, and even moves all the way through, they weren't the best choices, and we tried our best to help educate people and help them make good choices. So we think there's going to be some people that are not going to work out where they're at. In fact, there's already at least two, Brian, is that right? At least two people already have to move someplace. So for us to experience 60 people moving at one time and see all the family interaction was amazing. So we knew it was something that we had to do to help people, but also we knew it was something that we would learn a lot from. And it was absolutely fascinating. We saw a lot of families come together, and really just huge families come together and pitch in and move their loved one. And we saw a lot of maybe solo adult children, like one adult child was helping their loved one. And we saw a lot of families that didn't get along at all. And that was really challenging. We had a couple of couples that were kind of friends or dating in the building, and their families wanted them to be separated for different reasons. You just wouldn't leave the drama. It was really something. And of course, people were very upset at the very beginning, but human fortitude is so amazing, because it didn't take long when these residents really just started embracing each other and the situation that they were in. And it was just amazing to watch. And some of them moved to the same place, and others have decided how they're going to stay together. And what I found about KMH staff is that they were amazing. They worked so hard to take good care of everybody, and until the last person left, they were providing everything that you can imagine, and they were feeding our team and supporting our team. And we were supporting them right back. We're proud to say, like the best compliment that I got from KMH, they said 2 or 3 times that we took 90% of the stress off of them. There was so much involved in closing this down. In fact, the CEO is still working there today. But there's so much involved in closing this down that because we were there helping coordinate, that helped them out tremendously, and it really was necessary. We physically moved about 1/3 of the people there, and the others were able to get themselves moved by other means. We made phone calls and fielded calls and worked really hard to make sure that people had the best options available. So anyway, if you would appreciate my team, there's a few of them here today. It was an extraordinary project to work on, and it really shook up our team. This took up all of December, and then all of January was taken up just trying to right the ship again. It was really something, and I learned a lot from doing it, and I would change some of the things that we did, but you just don't know, you do the best you can. We went through all of our operations money, all of our reserves. We had $8,000 in donations. Thank you so much for helping us. We would have been really up a creek. And as it is, we're about $6,000 upside down on that project. So, but I think the education was worth it, and we've got to figure out a better way of being a nonprofit and asking people for help. So we have envelopes on the table if anyone feels inclined to send us a donation, either leave one today or send one to us, so that we can keep people employed and keep offering the services that we do. Okay, next slide. I thought it was really touching when KMH put up the last Christmas tree. They used to do something called tour of trees or holiday tour of trees, something like that. Our first year as Empowered Senior, we put up a really cool tree in that building. We had handmade ornaments that were historical photos from Wichita, and we really enjoyed it. That's the last tree that they put up, and so even though they were in a crisis, their marketing director had maintenance go find a tree and put it up in the main lobby. These are some of the people that we helped. It was really an awesome experience. We didn't take lots of pictures, but just showing you to kind of represent the people that we helped and the people involved. The people at the communities were amazing, the marketing people. So this is Cheryl here in this cape, and she's at the Regent, and she helped us out tremendously, just like many, many people did at all the communities. They were all reaching out, offering to help. Okay, next slide. This is one of my favorite stories. I came in one day, and I didn't know this gentleman at the time. He'd been working with the team, but I walked in one day, and he was seated, kind of defeated looking, and I said, hello. And he said, I think you're the lady I need to meet. I'm like, okay. And he said, well, I guess I'm not going to move to Colorado. I need to find a place in Wichita. And I immediately knew who he was, because I think he might be the only person that moved out of town. So I'm like, oh, this is the guy that's moving to live near his daughter. And I said, really? Because he'd already put a deposit down on the place he's going. All the plans are made. He's like, yep, it's not going to work. I'm going to have to find a place here. I'm like, well, tell me what's going on. He said, well, here's my official records, this tattered envelope. It has all of his official records from his life. What it does not have is a valid Kansas driver's license. It expired. He had no state ID. Without an ID, you can't get on a bus or a train or an airplane. And so I thought, I think we can solve this. If nothing else, we can drive him to Colorado or meet halfway. You know, sometimes I talk about your children aren't spring chickens. Have you heard me say that before? And sometimes we're in better shape than some of our kids are. True? That's the case with this guy. He's in great shape. He might not have a driver's license, but he's in really great shape, and his daughter and son-in-law are not. And so they couldn't come here to help. So I put him in my car, took him to the driver's license place. I found the person I thought might be the most helpful. Put all my real estate negotiating skills to work to get this man a state ID. And I will tell you that that woman helped us greatly. And she contacted Topeka, And somebody in Topeka did this man a favor because he did not have what he needed. And yet, he got his picture taken in front of that blue tarp there, and he walked out with a state ID. Now they said, well, we're going to give it to you for 1 year. So they were really doing him a solid favor. So we left there with his ID. He was really happy. Next slide. I wanted to do a TV episode on this because it was such a great story. But he flew out the very next morning. So Brenna, who's pushing the buttons back there, she loaded him up and took him to the airport, and there he goes. Doesn't he look happy? Yeah. All right, so I love that story. All right, so basically, what we see our role is helping people accomplish whatever it is they need to accomplish.
So is he living in Colorado? Or?
He's living in Colorado, down the street from his daughter. And I said, please get a state ID in Colorado. Oh, I won't need one. I'm never moving again. You know, things happen. This morning I got a call from Dee saying, oh my gosh, Botanica's closed. The gates are closed. You can't get in. There's no place to park. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I immediately start shooting on myself. I should have called them. You know, we paid our rent way in advance. I should. Shooting on yourself. Do you ever should on yourself? Okay, we're going to talk about that. I bet you do. So I said, I should have called to make sure that we were cool. What if they are closed? That did kind of happen to us one time. What if they don't have the room set up? This is going to be a disaster. This is the month I finally blew it. I kind of think that every month I panic and think, this is the month I blew it. So this morning, for a second, I thought, okay, this is the month I blew it. Well, we're going to have 60, 70, 80 people show up today, and they're going to be locked out, and we're just going to apologize. Where are we going to hold this if we can't hold it at Botanica? If they make us park way back there, we can't have everybody walking through the whole park. Where are we going to do it? We could do it at PBS, but they don't have the studios that would be big enough. What if the studios are booked? That's going to be a real issue. They probably aren't going to have enough space for us. How much will they charge me compared to what Botanica charged? I love doing it at Botanica because it's so beautiful here. So all those thoughts, it all worked out. Hopefully everybody figured out how to get in and how to park, and Botanica was ready for us. So anyway, do you have those kind of thoughts in your brain? That's one of the things we're going to talk about today. All right, next slide. All right, so we're going to talk about the basic 5 truths of empowered seniors. Number 1, people are living longer, for the most part. We know there's a lot going on in the world, and things happen, and a lot of people don't live as long as they might like to, and there's a lot of surprises, but overall, there's more centenarians than there have ever been at any time in history, and it keeps going. And you'll see there 62.5% of centenarians were 100 or 101. So what about the rest of 100%? If 62.5% are 100 or 101, how old are the rest of the people that are over 100? Older. They are older. And they even had to create a new category for centenarians that have reached, and Greg Dane's going to talk about some of this, like super centenarians. Is that? Truth number 2, keys to living successfully. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. Resourcefulness, that would be you. You're coming here for resources, problem solvers, planners, believe in education. You're resourceful. Check. Adaptability. Adaptability would be figuring out how the heck do we get into Botanica? How do we still make it happen? Do we have a sign and have a man to stand out there and hold a sign? No, we don't. You know, so we're doing all this problem solving, but we're adaptable. I started shoving my makeup and all my stuff as I'm on the phone talking about this, rushed in the car, drove off to get halfway here to find out I have no idea where my thumb drive is. So I turned around, go back home, can't find it, make a new copy. Apparently I didn't do a good job because I got here with it and it didn't work, but we worked through all that because we are adaptable. Positivity.
Can you stay positive in a little crisis? Amen. Can you stay positive in a big crisis? Can be a challenge. Truth number 3. Humans are complex beings. True or not true? Spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, we have all of those things to work on throughout our lives to be as balanced as we can. And I've heard people talk about, having a balanced life. Have you heard that before? A lot of times it's counterbalancing. That maybe we're good on the spiritual, but not so good on the physical. And it's just a challenge sometimes to go back and forth. I was talking to a lady yesterday. Her mother passed. It was expected. And she lives in Austin, Texas. The daughter does. She's getting ready to go house hunting in Plano, Texas, the Dallas area. Her husband is living in a hotel during the week, goes to Austin, home to Austin on the weekends. So she's got to hurry and find them a house, get the house sold in Austin, get moved. Well, now she's also trying to sell her mother's house here, arrange an estate sale and all that kind of thing. And then her daughter, son-in-law, and grandkids that are living with them right now are moving to Oklahoma City. And she has all that going on. That's a lot at one time. Seriously. And don't we all get in those kind of fixes sometimes when we just have too much going on? And so I thought, lady, you gotta try to take care of yourself during this, and just kind of keep calm. I said, Brandy and I have everything handled here, but good luck, really. All right, next slide. All right, so beliefs and thoughts create results. I had a lady yesterday that's high-end business coach talking to me, and she said we have 82,000 thoughts a day. And I was reflecting on that the rest of the day and this morning, and so I Googled it. I didn't see 82,000 on there, but I did see 50 to 70,000. I saw 6 to 8,000. 7 to 15,000. Apparently, there's been some science that says we have a lot of thinking going on all day long. Do you feel like you have a lot of thoughts going on? Like maybe even 6 different thoughts a minute? That was one of the scientific little factoids that I saw. Now, so I don't know how many thoughts a day we have, but what I did believe from the research this morning is that 90% of our thoughts are repetitive. Do you find yourself thinking the same things over and over and over again? And that 80% of our thoughts are negative. It's those times when we're shoulding on ourselves, or we're saying, I was going to lose weight and here I am, still the same. Or just all the different things that might be causing you some stress in your life, or where you might be comparing yourself to others. And if we can positively talk to ourselves and change the beliefs that we have about ourselves and the beliefs about what's going to happen. For example, I'm sure there's a way that we're getting into Botanica today where we'll figure it out. Having positive beliefs, because when you have positive beliefs, that impacts your thoughts. And so if you can work on having stronger beliefs and more positive thoughts, you're going to have more positive feelings. We're very emotional creatures, and our feelings create our actions. The actions create the results that we have in our life. So I just wanted to touch on that. Is that something that some of you all have studied or learned in your life? Maybe taught? What happens if you don't think? So I heard something like, your mind is a scary place that you shouldn't go alone. And that you really want to not let your mind just talk to you. You want to be talking to your mind, saying positive things. I'm active and healthy. My body, what did we used to say all the time from Keller Williams? My body is healthy and strong. You start feeling a cold coming on. My body is healthy and strong. 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 Okay. Well, perfect. Next slide. All right, our priorities change all the time throughout our lives. Absolutely, positively changed. I can think of many times, let's say in my career, where my priorities have totally changed. For example, when Randy and I were first really getting going with the Ambrose team, we were Cake Tin, Ask the Experts, and my goal was to sell 300 homes a year because we belonged to an education program that said you should be able to sell 300 homes a year, and we'd only sell sometimes 150 homes a year, and I felt like a big loser. Why can't we do that? We would never want to do that today because that wasn't really a great quality of life. We'd rather work with fewer people and have more of a quality of life. Plus, it costs a lot of money to generate all kinds of units and all kinds of volume, and you don't build the relationships. So my priorities have changed. So I had this coach talking to me about how I could make $1 million. That's not my goal. My priorities have changed. My goal is really kind of have fun. So my goal is to have fun and have an impact. How have your priorities changed over the years? Somebody have some examples? I can hear some talking where you were absolutely dedicated to this and you changed your mind over time. And how are your priorities different today than they were 30 years ago? They really changed. Guess what? Our kids are in a totally different stage of life, and their priorities are very different. Most people are going to say, my kids are very busy, or my kids don't invite me to everything. Sometimes that happens. It's because they're busy. Just show up. Just be helpful. They're in a very, what? Just call. So, all right. So there's a really good book, and it's called How to Say It to Seniors. It's written for professionals about seniors. Well, I think it's a great book for seniors to read. And it talks about how science doesn't usually talk about the life developmental stages past the age of maybe about 50, 55. Like, okay, you're done. Okay, so we've got the babies where they roll over and the babies that start crawling. And then think about all the stages. What are some of the stages of life, of childhood? School. Maybe dreaming about getting on that yellow school bus. I can't wait till I could get on that bus. What? Hitting double digits. That's a good one. Demanding, I'm going to dress myself. Like, okay. You're going to freeze your little tushy off, but okay. Learning to drive. That's a good one. And getting very independent. You know, I can make my own decisions, Mom and Dad. You should trust me. I really don't need your help. Can I have the car keys? And some money. Say that again. How about that? There were 9 of them, 9 kids. And I missed part of that. I'm going to come over here. How many came from a great big huge family of their 9, 13 kids? Okay. What did you say?
I said I was always good.
Oh.
I was one of the good ones.
Okay.
But my 5 sisters, they always give me a run for my money, you know. So anyway, but we was a happy campers, you know. So
That's really cool. You know, throughout our whole life, we reflect on our childhood. I know somebody, I won't say any names, but she still talks about how her older sister is smarter and better than her because she's thinking about when they were kids, and her sister was older, and so she's had this belief throughout her whole life, and she doesn't see like the reality of things because she has that belief that impacts her thoughts. Let's say a poor farm child that doesn't see themselves as measuring up And they might carry that belief the whole way through, no matter what kind of success or good fortune they have in life. It's really sad. That's what I was talking about with beliefs impacting our thoughts, which impact our feelings, which impact our actions. Because somebody like that might think, well, I don't really like to socialize because it makes them uncomfortable, so they withdraw and they don't participate in things. But yet when they really do participate, they have a great time, more fun than they think. So this book, How to Say It to Seniors, talks about the life developmental stage as we get older is maintaining autonomy, being in control of our own lives. Who wants to be in control of your own life? You want to be in control of your own life? Who wants somebody to take over all control, make all your decisions? Not ideally. And finding purpose. Finding purpose in your daily life that keeps you happy, like volunteering or working maybe in a different way than you used to work, but somehow participating in community, finding purpose. And next slide. And everyone leaves a legacy. So this book talks a lot about legacy, and that your legacy isn't so much the money or the things that you leave, but what you're putting in people's hearts every day, and that we all leave a legacy of some kind. And there's a lot of life review, like reflecting on our life, making sense of it. Did I make an impact? Will people remember me? And if we can talk about intentional legacy versus a legacy by default, really going out of our way to do something where we're making a positive impact. That helps us in our daily life versus just kind of waiting for life to take us by. You guys are resourceful and you come to education and you're thinking about things, but there's a lot of seniors that are just kind of waiting to see what happens over time. I talked to a lady a couple months ago that said, we went over her financials. I'm like, I didn't know if she knew she was going to run out of money. Turns out she did. I said, what are you going to do when you run out of money? She said, well, I guess the state will just take care of me. Do you think that she'll like the way the state takes care of her? Probably not. Now, there are ways to be on, Brian, is it Medicaid? There are ways to be in a better living environment on Medicaid versus not. What makes the difference, Brian? You choosing first. Strategic planning. So this lady said, well, I just want to go to the casino and gamble and have a good time. Maybe I'll rent a mobile home or rent an apartment. And so what we talked about was maybe you could rent at Prairie Homestead for about the same amount of money, and if you live there a year or two and you've been paying and you run out of money, then they will accept Medicaid and they can keep you on as assisted living, just to give you an example. So there's a lot involved, true or not true. It's very important that people make good decisions, and there's nice places to be and there's a lot of not nice places to be. And so you want to plan in advance. Next slide. So those are the 5 truths. What it all comes down to sometimes is tackling those mature life tasks, creating a peace of mind and a future by design, like taking care of those mature life tasks that need to be done so you've got enjoyable today and an enjoyable future. Keeping life fun is really important. Fun is really important to a good quality of life. Who has a lot of fun these days? What are some of the things you're doing? What are you doing for fun? Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we have fun every time we come here because after we do this, then we go out and we have a little art time in the gardens. Our whole group here. And we like to go out to lunch too.
Awesome. All right, what else do you do for fun? Movies. Okay. Have you seen any good movies lately? Yes. 80 for Brady is wonderful. 80 for Brady is wonderful. I've been hearing that. What? Theaters. There's
stage productions.
Delno, one of our photographers here, is one of the best-known actors in town, and he's done a lot of stage performances and movies. Volunteering. Okay, volunteering, like at the forum where they have plays, and where else?
You can volunteer at the Orpheum. They need ushers and concession, and you meet so many nice people. And at the forum, all you have to do is go in and usher, and you can see the play free. So we see every one of the plays.
See, taking care of your grandson, 6 years old. Oh, what else? Fried chicken on Monday.
Chicken on Monday night and trivia.
All right, so trivia night and fried chicken. Where? Candle Club. Okay, what else? What? Travel. Where's our travel lady? There she is. And where's your table? Right here? Okay, so Mindy Cook with Anywhere But Here can help you go anywhere but here and help you weigh out all the options. And we have a fabulous Paris trip coming up, not this summer, but the summer before. But you want to start finding out about it now and put a deposit down now. But we're all going to Paris together, whoever would like to go. I think it's going to be awesome. All right, what? 2024. For the 50th anniversary of Normandy. 80th. Oh my gosh, I've been saying 50. How many years since World War II?
80.
Okay, the 80th anniversary
D-Day.
of D-Day.
In Normandy. We're going to leave June the 12th. We're going to spend 2 nights in Paris, get on the river, and go from Paris out to La Honfleur. And it's a 7-night river cruise, and come back, and we'll go to St. Malo for 3 nights before coming back to Paris and then coming home. For the 80th anniversary of D-Day, we'll go to the U.S. cemeteries, we'll go to the beaches. It'll be an amazing trip. Yes, and Mindy and Catherine are hosting. So
And the food is fabulous. Like, it's incredible experience. So it's about the history, the sights, and just the experience, the culinary.
And tomorrow at 3 p.m., we're having an informational meeting at the PBS station. So come and drink a glass of wine and learn about the trip.
Ooh la la. Sip and sail meeting tomorrow at 3 p.m. So we're dragging Randy Ambrose on this cruise that he doesn't want to go to. But he watches every World War II movie over and over and over again. And so I'm counting on him to be able to add a lot of information as we go. Okay, next slide. All right, so this is one of our foundationals. Thinking, planning, and action. This is based on science, on decision making. And so before we make decisions, we think about it. Next slide, like attending seminars, reading, talking to friends, considering options, like processing, planning. When it comes to moving, that might be purging the household, connecting or reconnecting with the vendors here, visiting open houses, tours. Next, action. And that would be just taking all the steps to make a move. And we've had a lot of people make a move in the last year or two. Next slide. So this was a shocker for me because I've been teaching this for a while. Guess what? There's another box called validation. So after you move, there's another step, validation. What do you think that might mean? What? That's it. Did you say confirming or affirming?
Either one.
So did you have some of those thoughts after you moved?
Oh, no, but we're looking at the next move, and so that's where. But I'm thinking of the lady that was here a while ago and said she was at, I think it was St. Joseph's House or something, and she's just bored. Otherwise, she loves it. And so she's moving, so.
Okay. So he was saying that someone moved to St. Joseph Convent, she's bored, and so she's moving. So guess what? After you make the big decision to move, to downsize and go to retirement living, a lot of people still move. Guess what? The KMH people, they weren't planning to move, but they had to move. So, yeah. And so validation is like, oh my gosh, did we do the right thing? Because we worked so hard to make it happen, and then that little panic, because we always have those thoughts. Did we make the right decision? Mother, have you ever had doubts about you made the right decision to move to Wichita?
No, I'm glad I'm here, but I would have done a few things differently. But, I'm happy I'm here.
So it is what it is. Sometimes you part with something that you wish you could have back. Is that mostly it? Yeah. But are you having more fun here? Way more fun. All right. Marilyn, would you mind sharing your story? You just made a big move, and you thought about it long and hard. How many years did you think about moving?
Oh, not so long and hard, but 3 or 4 years. I just knew that that would be my future if I were single, if my husband passed before I did. And so now in December I moved to Larksfield Place and went through adjustments. The first couple of weeks I was totally consumed by finding a place for everything that I had brought with me. And the next couple of weeks I was determined I was going to go to the meals in the dining room and in the little cafe and meet people, which is the reason I chose Larksfield. And then during that time, I met a lady who said, she'd lived there for about 4 years or so, but she still lived outside of Larksfield. And I thought, that's what I need. That's what I'm missing. So now I'm back to living outside of Larksfield, like driving across town to come over here. And now I'm happy.
Well, congratulations. So she got in there, and she realized she was just taking care of things inside of her apartment for 2 weeks, and she's like, wait a minute. The whole reason I moved here was to socialize, and I've stuck myself in this apartment, and I'm not getting out. So then she started getting out and having meals and meeting people. And then after a while, she thought, my whole life is in this building. I'm going a little stir crazy. So now she's getting in her car and going all around. All right, next slide. All right, so the stages of readiness can look like this. Denial, like we don't need to do any adaptations to our home. It's fine the way it is. Or we want to stay in this home forever. Denial, pre-contemplation, then thinking, contemplation, planning and prep, action and validation. It can just be kind of crazy, where people maybe struggled with this for 7 years or better. Next slide. That the more resourceful you are and the more guides that you tap into, you can hopefully smooth that out and say, okay, this is normal. What I'm thinking is normal, and make it a smoother process where you don't have so many thoughts confusing what you're doing. All right, next slide. All right, Downsizers Club. This is something that we launched last year. We're really trying to figure it out. The first Downsizers Club people that came, the ones that knew they wanted to move, they've already moved, graduated. Congratulations. And we'd like more people to participate because we feel like this is something that would really help. And what we were doing was, I think, $200. You pay $200, and then you get at least that much as a credit towards services. Well, for right now, we're just going to open it up. It's free. It's at PBS the first Tuesday of every month from 2 to 3:30. It's totally different than this. It's a small group where we talk together about the things that's going on in our house and our life. It's very helpful, and it's something I really enjoy. So we've got that going on. And so we want to invite you to participate. Next slide. All right, so that concludes it for me. Just daily decisions and personal pep talks make a big difference. And our happiness and well-being is a process, not an event. And it's something that we have to continue to work on. We have to have a little luck, too. And so I'm going to bring up Greg Dane. Next slide. Greg Dane with Humana. Come on up. Greg, you talked to us in November, maybe? Okay, so he has more to share. So you'll see his new title is Longevity Evangelist. Here you go.
Thank you, Catherine. One cool thing about coming here every month is you develop new friends, right? So I see new friends month after month. I see my buds from Oxford Villa and Des and Alex, and it's just it's a great group. That's a pun, if you will, longevity evangelist. Catherine said, what do you want to call yourself? I said, I don't know, maybe longevity evangelist. That fits because my son and son-in-law both are preachers. So, there you go. But in preparing for today, this is my favorite topic ever. And here's why. My love language is affirmation. So I'm going to start off by seeking some affirmation this morning because today is a special day for me. Today is my 1-year heartversary. Yeah. If you were here when I spoke with Larry after Larry had 7 bypasses. I had a giant ascending aortic aneurysm of 5.6 centimeters and 3 major blockages. So when I say I'm blessed to be here, thank you, Jesus, I am blessed to be here. So, amen. So, all right. Yes, I said Jesus at a secular meeting. There you go. All right. In my research this past year, and the reason why self-titled Longevity Evangelist, I'm on a mission to read everything I can get my hands on about heart disease, right? Because I'm a fellow member now. As Larry said, he leaned over a few months back and said, welcome to the Zipper Club. That's what we call ourselves, right? So, y'all know I'm a book nerd. So I've got 3 new books, 2 of which I've finished, the big thick ones. Undo It by Dr. Dean Ornish, and you can come up and see me later. How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. I'm going to be referring a lot to chapter 8 in that book today, How Not to Die from Hypertension. Okay? And The End of Heart Disease by Dr. Joel Furman, who also wrote Eat to Live. So, in researching all this about heart disease, I discovered something interesting. The key to long life is really pickleball. I mean, it's right in front of us. It was right in front of me. 4.8 million people today play pickleball. Can you believe it? It is the fastest growing sport on the planet. It has experienced over 600% growth in the last 6 years. One of my good friends, if y'all know Dave New, lives down in Hayesville. He is the pickleball king in the area, self-proclaimed. That's what he told me. He's 72. He's actually had a heart attack, and he plays, I don't know how many times a week, right? I talked to him one day. We were all, the 4 of us, my wife and I, he and Judy, were going to go out to lunch. So I texted him. I said, hey, we were going to go to El Patio. That's what we talked about, but I'd really rather go somewhere heart healthy. He said, heart healthy? This is his text. Heart healthy? Are you kidding me? I just finished a bag of chips. And he named off 2 or 3 other things. He goes, that's not very heart healthy, is it? I said, no, brother, we'll figure it out. So anyway, so let's talk about longevity, okay? If you are in the room today and you are at least 76 years and 1 month plus, stand up. If you don't mind, 76 years and 1 month plus, please stand. Give these folks a hand. Stay standing. Stay standing. There's a method to my madness, okay? Catherine's talked a lot about longevity and trying to get to 100, and I'll talk about that a little bit in a minute of why we focus on 100 years of age. But according to the most recent data, I'm not being a Debbie Downer, from the CDC, Center for Disease Control, the average life expectancy has dropped 2 years in a row. 2020, it was 77 years of age. 2021, because we don't have 2022 data yet, 2021, 76.1 years. You guys have beaten the odds. Y'all can have a seat. Thank you so much. So, some of that is because we've lost over a million Americans due to COVID. We went through the best of times and the worst of times recently, right? So, something that makes me want to live longer is my zest for life now. Not that I didn't want to live a long time prior to my surgery. I've always loved life, but I enjoy being happy. I am not a comedian at all. I try to make people laugh because I enjoy laughter. One thing my wife laughs at is I've gone on this search for what's the best diet. So I've tried to become a vegan. I've lost so much weight that I'm walking away from my wife one day and she says, honey, you have no butt. She's, it's too much information probably, but she's just sharing. She's like, honey, you need to gain some weight because like when you stand sideways, it just drops off. There's nothing there to catch anything. right? And it's true, but I'm trying to be healthy. So am I going to be a vegan, a vegetarian, a pescatarian? You know what a pescatarian is? Right. You eat fish, but no meat, right? Carnivores, omnivores, choose your poison. But I really want to talk today about leading a heart-healthy life. So a few years ago, a study commissioned by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation commissioned one of the largest, probably the largest, most comprehensive study on all-cause death across the globe. It was called the Global Burden of Disease Study. Let me tell you how large this study was. It encompassed over 500 researchers, over 300 institutions crossing 50 countries. Okay? That's how big the study was. And they looked at things like, what if you gave up, for example, drinking sodas? How would that affect all-cause mortality? Do you know that they determined that we could save 300,000 lives a year if you quit drinking sodas? I don't drink caffeine anymore because I also have AFib, so anything caffeinated, charges me up the wrong way. You know that I switched to Sprite. I don't even have Sprite these days, but a can of Sprite has 32 grams of sugar. Did you know that? So be mindful of what you consume, okay? So other things they looked at in this study, and this is kind of sad, but over 800,000 people die across the globe every year from eating processed meat, processed food. If you're a dairy farmer, I'm so sorry. If you're a poultry farmer, I apologize. I'm telling you the facts, okay? I grew up in the South. I'm from Tennessee. Most of the time we say, hey, y'all, right? So I grew up, this is gross, because I ate this, and I contributed to my heart disease, I'm sure. I grew up on souse meat, liver loaf, chitlins. We'll talk about chitlins later if y'all don't know what that is, all right? And I thought I led a healthy lifestyle. I was in denial for 60 years, right? Tall, skinny, always been this way. But a lot of mine was due to genetics. But processed food, is there a reason why when you go into a Dillon's, only 15 to 20% of the store is designated for fruits and vegetables? Everything else is processed, man-made. So my question is that something healthy to consume? Today, for example, is National Pizza Day. Yay. One slice of pizza with pepperoni, how many milligrams of salt would you think? 600. 600. Now, before my surgery, I was a frequent flyer at Chick-fil-A, like every week. Fried Chick-fil-A sandwich and regular order of fries. How much sodium? Anybody? 1,600 milligrams. Okay. I've got a little prop here to demonstrate something in a second. But a lot of people blame genetics on not living long. A lady this morning, I don't know where you are, like me, she said, I suffer from heart disease. Everybody in my family suffers from heart disease. And y'all have heard people probably say before, I'm just going to die of cancer because everybody else in my family dies of cancer. I'm going to die of heart disease because everybody in my family dies of heart disease. Did you know that only 10 to 20% of genetics comes into play when you're looking at all-cause mortality? And yet people blame genetics. So let's talk about genetics. Y'all remember Bill Nye, the science guy? The geek? I'm a geek like Bill. So for my little demonstration today, what does this shoestring have in common with long life? You guys ever remember looking at a DNA sequence in science class in high school? It reminds me of a twisted ladder with multicolored rings, right? So here's something you can take home and learn about science today. At the end of your DNA chains, there's something called telomeres. What in the world is, you nurses in here don't know what I'm talking about. Telomeres hold your DNA structure together, and as you age, right, they become shorter. And if you eat an unhealthy diet, they get even shorter. So think of telomeres like the caps on the end of your shoestring. If that wears off, what happens? Shoelace is frayed. It's not cool to walk around with frayed shoestrings, right? You need to go get a new pair. And my wife makes fun of me because I have more shoes than she does. That's true. But truthfully, when your telomeres run out of length, you run out of time. Research it, look it up. Most of what I'm telling you comes from these three physicians today. I love their work because they're all about a plant-based diet. So let's talk about salt, okay? A lady asked me today, she goes, are you going to try to tell us that salt is healthy? Absolutely not, right? All right. The average consumption, or where it should be, we should be consuming no more than a teaspoon of salt a day. That's 2,000 milligrams of sodium, you guys. Okay, 2,000. Somebody take a guess at what the average consumption of sodium is in the United States via our SAD diet, Standard American Diet. 3,500 milligrams. I never watched my sodium intake prior to my surgery, ever. As a matter of fact, the first thing I wanted after my surgery was a giant cheeseburger. I mean, I don't know what it is, but after procedures, like every colonoscopy I've had, and I've got my number 6 coming up next month, I know what I'm going to want afterwards, giant cheeseburger. Cheeseburger and fries, close to 2,000 milligrams of sodium, right? So just be mindful when you go to the store, if you're a label reader, or if you're not, start reading labels and pay attention. But some good stuff came out of the same study I referred to earlier that Bill and Melinda Gates funded. So what would happen, for example, if people ate more whole grains? We could save 1.7 million lives. How about vegetables? I love kale. Anybody a fan of kale? If you haven't tried kale chips, they're to die for. I shouldn't say that. We're trying to live to 100, right? But they're great. 1.8 million lives. Nuts and seeds. There you go. This is my snack of choice now. 2.5 million lives a year. Fruit. 4.9 million lives. The number one risk for death is high blood pressure. It accounts for 9 million deaths annually across the globe. Did you know, this is something else I learned about heart disease? Most heart attacks do not occur in vessels that suffer major blockages. They usually occur in vessels that are only filled with 30 to 40% of plaque. Why is that? Because those vessels are more pliable and it's easier for the plaque to break off. The more calcified vessels of 90% or greater, which is what I had, carry less risk, honestly. Mine was in my Widowmaker and a branch off of that and another branch off of that. But those are the facts I'm sharing with you. So, plant-based diet, research it, okay? If you're a steak lover and you like a glass of wine every day and you eat potato chips and you're age 95, I'm not talking to you, right? I'm just not talking to you. But the key to long life, everybody says, well, it's all about moderation. Some of that may be true, right? But we all want to live as long as God will allow us to stay on this earth, right? Because Catherine talked about legacy. Whose legacy are we concerned about? It's not ours. It's our kids and their kids and their kids, right? What type of imprint do you want to make on them? So, a little quiz I'm going to give you about salt. This is fun. This came from Dr. Greger's book. So here's the question. I'm going to give you 4 different categories. Y'all are going to tell me which contains the most salt. You ready? 1 serving of beef, say 6 to 8 ounces. 1 serving of baked chicken. a large order of McDonald's fries or a bowl of salty pretzels? Somebody tell me, who votes for McDonald's fries? Raise your hands. Okay. Who votes for the beef? Couple hands. What about the pretzels? Why do you think beer joints and bars serve pretzels? It makes you thirsty. What about the chicken? Well, the winner is the baked chicken, carries the most salt. Why? This is something else I learned. Chicken processors fill those chicken carcasses with salt water to add weight. So you're paying more at the grocery store, right? So even though it's baked, you're not frying it, the chicken carries more salt. How about that? So let's talk about blood pressure, because you consume too much salt, you're going to retain fluid, that's going to cause high blood pressure. So if I were to ask you this, who has the lowest blood pressure? A long distance runner, someone who runs 48 miles a week, that's over 2,000 miles a year, a vegetarian, or a sedentary vegan? Who has the lowest blood pressure? The vegetarian. I heard a lot of vegetarians. It's actually the sedentary vegan, right? And the runners are typically consumers of meat, right? But it's the vegan that has the lowest blood pressure. Are there any retired physicians in the room? Because I'm about to step on your toes. So just get ready, okay? Some physicians believe that as you age, ergoes your blood pressure. Not true, right? What's normal blood pressure? 120 over 80. Anything between that and 140 over 90 is considered pre-hypertension, right? So is there evidence to prove that aging doesn't mean your blood pressure has to go up? Yes, there is. In the 1920s, a group of Kenyans were studied. They numbered over 1,000. Their blood, and guess what their diet was? Fruits, vegetables, right? Nuts and seeds. At age 40, their blood pressure was about 125 over 80. Kind of mirrored the Western diet. But age 60, their average blood pressure was 110 over 70. Y'all have heard me talk about the blue zones across the globe? Okinawa, Japan, known for the longest living people on the planet, right? They walk everywhere because they have to, right? They either ride their bikes or they walk, okay? And by the way, do y'all know why women outlive men? You're better shoppers. You get more steps in. I'm not lying. I saw this played out in a study. There was this small study done where a man and a woman were sent to the local mall to buy one thing, a pair of jeans. Just a pair of jeans, that's all. So the illustrator was showing on the overhead, the woman goes in the mall, she hangs a left. She hits all the major department stores. She ends up at the jean store. She buys the jeans. Average purchase that day, $237. Here's the man, gets out of his car, goes straight to the jean store, straight back to the car. His purchase was $37. Y'all get more steps in than we do. That's why we die first. We're not as healthy. We're not as healthy. All right, so pay attention to what you're eating. So the reason why I said that some physicians believe in that is because, and y'all heard me say this, I think, during Christmas time, and this is true. Physicians don't practice health care. They practice sick care. Did you know the average physician gets less than 4 hours nutrition training in 4 years of medical school? 4 hours. I don't blame them for it. That's the way they are trained. When you go see your primary care doctor, because it happens to me all the time, and you come in with an illness, by the way, when you hear that knock on the door before they come in, right? Make sure you're decent. They've already made up their mind what's wrong with you by looking at your chart before they ask you a single question. And then you tell them what's wrong, and the next thing they say is, where would you like me to phone in your prescription? Right? They practice sick care. They put a Band-Aid on what's really wrong with you instead of getting to the root cause. And again, I don't fault them because it's part of their training. It's either drugs or surgery. That's the way they're trained, right? So you have to ask them a lot of questions. If you're on an antihypertensive in the room, I'd be willing to wager you're on at least 3 medications if you suffer from high blood pressure. Probably a beta blocker, a calcium channel blocker, and maybe an ACE inhibitor. I used to sell 2 out of 3 of those years ago. Yes, I'm a reformed drug dealer from 20 years worth, so I contributed to all those commercials that you see. By the way, if you freeze frame a drug commercial and just focus on the side effects, there's more side effects than benefits most of the time. It's just, there's good drugs out there. I don't want to pan the entire drug industry. But just take care of yourself, right? So, that said, think about your prescriptions, what you're putting in your body specifically. Did you know the average nursing home resident is on 10 to 15 medications? And guess what? Medicare says that charge nurse who's in charge of 30 of those nursing home residents has to distribute their medications in a 2-hour window. So think 30 patients times factor of 10, that's 300 meds he or she is distributing in a 2-hour window. That's a recipe for disaster. Take charge of your health, y'all. Read as much as you can get your hands on. Pin your doctors down and ask them questions and make them give you, sometimes they tell us what we want to hear. My brother, 74 years old, type 2 diabetic, 330 pounds. I saw him at my middle brother's funeral in September. He had that white, pasty look. He has congestive heart failure. He had a heart attack in his 50s. And he says, "Doc, just give me my meds. I want to eat what I want to eat." His girth is so large around his waist, he can set a plate flat on his tummy and eat a plate of food twice the size of me, which brings me to this analogy. I didn't put my measuring tape on it, but this is something that the Blue Zone folks have in common. They eat less. A 9-inch plate on average is what they consume because they have learned to train their stomachs to, I don't know how they do it, but they do. When they are 80% full, they stop eating. The Japanese phrase is called hara hachibu, okay? Sounds like a bad sneeze, but that's what they do. They stop eating. We all grew up with our mamas telling us what? Clean that plate before you get up from this. I cleaned 2 or 3 plates because I was fighting 2 older brothers for everything that was on that table, right? So, be mindful of what you eat. Measure. Take note. If you want to live a long time, yes, we are living longer. In 1900, the average life expectancy was 50 years of age. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act into law, people lived to age 65. We are living longer, so by 2030, it's projected that Social Security would be paying out more than it takes in. There's 10,000 of us a day turning 65, right? I'm the last of the boomers, and I just turned 61. I know most of y'all are going to say he's a puppy. He's a kid. Yes, I guess. But having said that, a couple of things I'll wrap up with that Catherine touched on, and that's how you live your life spiritually, faithfully, living in society together, serving one another, being happy. There's a phrase y'all heard me reference a couple of weeks ago. This is another Japanese term, and it's I have to kind of couch it this way. Ladies, when you were little girls on the playground, and that kid ran up to you, that boy ran up to you, that you were like, I wish he would get away, and in your mind you thought, I wish that icky guy would leave me alone. I-K-I-G-A-I is pronounced ikigai. The Japanese believe everyone has an ikigai or a reason for being. Their moai, M-O-A-I, is their practice of being together and serving each other. So when you think about Okinawa, Japan, Loma Linda, California, certain provinces of France, Italy, Greece, and what's the last one? Costa Rica. These are where the Blue Zoners hang out. That's where they live. They are moving constantly every day. You guys now have been sitting for how long? Almost 2 hours, some of you, right? Every 20 minutes, blue zoners are moving their body. They average about 18,000 steps a day, right? So our key to longevity is trying to achieve that magic number of 100. You know, that's biblical. If you go look in Genesis chapter 5, it's the genealogy from Adam to Noah. You remember the phrase, you've heard the phrase, old as Methuselah? He lived to 969 years of age. So where do we get that 100 magic number? So the very next chapter, in Genesis chapter 6, verse 3, the Lord said, my spirit shall not live in man forever, for he is flesh. His days shall not exceed 120 years. Right? There's one lady recorded on the planet that's lived over 122 years. She came from France. There was a man from Japan. Here the men get the short end of the stick again. There's a gentleman from Japan, from Okinawa, listed at over 116 years of age. When Larry was here, I looked up some of Larry's videos. He interviewed a man 7 years ago that retired at Walmart at 104, Mr. Wade. You can see the video. So that's all I've got for you. I love talking about this topic. Catherine and everybody, thank you for having me again. Thank y'all. Go out and live a long, healthy life. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. By the way, Katie, that had her 102nd birthday, she told her doctor that she wanted to make it to 105, and he said, why not 110? So that's her goal now. So, and I think we'd all like to maybe stick around longer if we feel pretty good. And there's a lot of people in our lives that could use us being around. You know, we see a lot of grandchildren and or grandparents and great-grandparents that might be raising children or really having a big impact. And so I'm really a big one in just thinking about how we can continue to be good parents as we age into our 80s and beyond, and how we can be a good example for the younger generations that aging can be a good thing. And let's be a good example to the best of our ability so that they can reflect on that the rest of their lives and have hope and inspiration. So, any education partners in the room have some tips on this topic, living to be 100, some of the things to mark off your list? I know you had one.
Well, everyone, I'm Jason Bach. I'm an attorney. I practice in estate and trust law, so I handle a lot of estate administration matters. And you know, you probably all know the general, have your estate planning documents in order and those sorts of things. But one of the key, I think this is just critical, is if you're the kind of person that has a lot of stuff, it's collectibles, antiques, heirlooms, these sorts of things, I find, you know, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, those are the situations where there's a lot of value to be gained in giving those items away while you're alive. Not only do you get to see somebody else enjoy those items, you make sure that they get them. And when we talk about things like collectibles and those sorts of things, it's your collection. You know the most about these items. You know, and when somebody passes away and they have a collection and maybe their kids weren't super involved in those passion of their parents, well, what do we do with this stuff now? Maybe sometimes the kids want it, sometimes they don't. Then they have to sell it. They don't know what all this stuff is. They've got to rely on third parties and to try to figure out what, you know, these items are that you knew well about. Plus, we also, there's oftentimes emotions are high. Losing a parent is a challenge for the kids. And you know, it's good if you have these items still around that you're very clear on how you want them to be disposed of. The sort of general way that people deal with it is, oh, all of my stuff gets divided into thirds between my kids, period. Well, it can be a recipe for disaster. And so there's a lot of advantages and benefits to sort of working through that process while you're alive, give gifts, pass these items down. Again, you make sure they get to who you want to have them. and you make the process much smoother. That's my tip.
So declutter, minimize. Randy and I are trying to walk the talk. We had this blue box in our coat closet that was full of hats, gloves, and scarves. We've had it for years. It probably was in our last house. If you need something, you open up the lid, you dig through, try to find something that matches. And one day I said, you know, I can't fit both of these vacuum cleaners into this closet. And what do we do? And he said, well, take the blue box out. I'm like, whoa. What a great idea. What? Not have the blue box? We went through the blue box and we condensed it into the 2 clear little bitty plastic boxes that you can see in. Things match and it's up on top. Simple. So we're trying to tackle some of those things ourselves. All right. You had a suggestion.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's Alex Robinson with Morris Lang. I also do trust and estate work just like Jason does. Has anyone here read Dune, the science fiction book? Not maybe one. Okay. One of the famous quotes from that book is, "Fear is the mind killer." And what that means is that if you're afraid, your mind blanks. You're not prepped for something. Your automatic response is that your mind blanks out and you don't know what to do. Likewise, stress is the body killer. And Greg talked about that a little bit. You know, hypertension, stress in our lives. I've read some studies for this meeting today where millions and millions of lives are cut short because of stress, whether that's work-related stress or family-related stress, any type of stress at all. And so, you know, we've talked a little bit about emotional health and physical health and mental health and emotional health. We also need to add financial health to that. We need to know where our finances are. We need to know, do we have the money that we need to do the things that we want to do? We need to reach out to professionals, whether that's an estate attorney or a CPA or a financial advisor, and kind of get a financial checkup, just like you would, you know, going to the doctor. Go see someone, show them your finances, let them know what your goals are and what you want to do, and figure that out. Because stress about money is one of the most encompassing types of stress. Because if you're stressed about a party or, you know, meeting up with friends or something to do with your family, those things all pass. But if you're stressed about money and you don't have a way forward, that's stress that keeps you up at night, and you're thinking about the first time that you wake up in the morning and throughout the day. And so that leads to a very unhealthy lifestyle. So my tip would be, get your finances in order, know where you are, know what your goals are. If you don't have goals, if you don't know kind of where you're at, make that a priority this month, is to set some financial goals, get to know what your financial health is really like, and hopefully that at the end of that, you'll feel kind of a sense of relief because you're no longer under pressure. Maybe you don't even know that you have.
Very good. Thank you. Bretta, can you go to the next slide? Who else has a comment in here or a question? All right. What a bummer some of that Greg Dane stuff was. Chick-fil-A, are you serious?
Can you, this is for Dane, can you repeat the titles of the books?
I'll take the mic up there. Can you hold each book up? The End of Heart Disease.
By Dr. Dean Ornish, the Ornish Diet. Dr. Ornish, by the way, got his health plan approved, only one of its kind, by Medicare. Okay, Dean Ornish. How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger, who also is the founder of nutritionfacts.org. Michael Greger.
Okay, very good. You know, when we talk about how not to die, for me, that kind of means how not to suffer. I spent some time in a wheelchair, and that wasn't very fun. I was pretty sad. And pain, not, you know, I don't like it. No, thank you. And so I think it's really more about how not to suffer. and choose your hard. You can make changes in your life that might seem hard, or you can have some really hard things coming your way. So keep moving. I'm a big proponent of exercise. Whether you're a vegan or not, get up and move and grow your muscles and stay active, which really helps improve your mindset. So that's what we have for this month. Next slide. March, we're doing senior living options for people who aren't ready yet. And so we're going to talk about that, and we're going to have more input from people that have made moves and how they feel about it, what they learned. And we're going to have input from different senior living communities and professionals. And by the way, Cheryl, stand up from the Regent. I showed her photo. She helped me move in the most delightful guy into the Regent. And the people in this community are just amazing, and they're standing by to help you with whatever it is that whatever it is you need. In April, we're doing a really new topic, driving after 80, strategies to stay behind the wheel. What do you think about that? So Katie drove until she was about 100. I can't remember the exact age, but was not 95, still driving. Great job. Is she pretty good on the road? Okay. Okay, so the question is, tell about the downsizing class. It's called Downsizers Club, and you can call the same number that you call to RSVP here to sign up for it. It's at PBS, which is on the east side of town. It backs up to K96. It's Rock Road and 32nd Street, basically. And we do it on the first Tuesday of every month from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. And you get a 3-ring binder and some materials, and we have really great conversations. So who's been to Downsizers Club and thought it was fun? It's not online. We're lucky the seminar's online. So, but I can always meet with you face to face. So you've been coming to Downsizers Club. What's been helpful?
Oh, just meeting the people and hearing that we all have struggle with the same things, and we can help each other find solutions.
Very good. Who else? Now, these are downsizers that aren't even sure they're going to downsize. But is it helping you?
Immensely. It helps us every time we go. We learn so much, and it's like fellowshipping and sharing ideas. And yeah, we have goals. We set a goal every month. I'm going to get all my closets cleaned. Before and after pictures.
So you pick your own homework. There's no judgment. We're like, are you sure you want to clean every closet? Okay. I hope you guys will come back. Please tell your friends. The more people that come, the better. And that really helps support us. Oh, with the game, are you ready? Pick up the game cards. So the winner is going to go back and see Randy Ambrose back there and pick a prize. We have a couple books. We have the book, The Fragile Years, which that might not sound like an exciting topic to some people. I thought it sounded great. But I'll tell you what, it is a phenomenal book. It's a very easy read, and I think it's very helpful. What else do we have back there? We have Mitzi Beach's book, Design Smarts for people over 50. Is everybody over 50 in here? Pretty close. Okay. And then we have a handmade gift from one of our Downsizer Club members. All right, Brett, raise your stamp card. She's going to come pick them. I'll help grab them too. Oh, thank you, Cherie. All right, do we have your cards? Okay, let's, Doug, would you please? Thank you. All right, last call for your stamp cards. Okay, Doug, stand up here. Give them a good stir and pick one of them out. Oh, we got one more. Wait. Oh, we got another one. Okay, all right. Okay. Now, he does for fun Corvette clubs and dancing. All right, the winner is Elaine Turner. Woohoo! She's a Downsizers Club graduate. All right. We'd like for, should we do 2 more? We can't do this every month. We can't give 3 prizes every month. Yeah, that's okay. Doug, grab another one. We'll do 2. All right, Nancy Jelinek. How do you say that? Jelinek? I should know that name. Nancy, awesome. Go back and see Randy and grab something good. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of our education partners. We have 2 photographers here. We have our videographer. So we're trying to record this event, and we'd love to have your suggestions. We'd appreciate, I just hate asking, but we'd appreciate donations if you're so inclined or able. So we really appreciate you being here more than anything. And if you get a chance, take advantage of your free garden admission. Go out and get in the sunshine. Thanks a lot. See you next month.